Let's wait to see if we're going live. Okay, looks like we're live now. Brilliant. And there we are inside the Facebook group. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everybody. We'll just tag us here, everyone, so that you can find us. Come and join us. Give us a like and a love if you are joining in. So welcome back to the Transform with Plants live podcast inside of Plant-Based Health and Weight Loss Support Facebook group. Today, we're going to talk about something that I know so many of us struggle with, and this could be something that is keeping you stuck on your health and weight loss journey. So this is not the food. I'm not talking about willpower. I'm not talking about other people's opinions of what you're doing. I'm not even talking about your schedule. I'm talking about that little voice inside of your head. That one is saying things to you like, you'll never stick to it. You always fail. You're not good enough. You can't do this. Who the hell do you think you are? Right? This voice is your inner critic. And I know this because when I was battling with this a lot in my 20s when I was struggling the most with my weight. But here's something that I know to be true. I now know that this inner critic is not us. It's not you. It's not me. It's not even reality. What it is, it's like a broken record or a radio station that we've tuned into that's not playing the songs that we like. Right? Or it's like a broken record in our brain that just keeps on this loop that we keep playing over and over and over. And if we don't learn to deal with it, we will stay stuck in patterns of self-sabotage, of self-doubt, and that is going to lead to inconsistency and stop you from achieving the results that you want. I see Margaret's tuning in. Hi, Margaret. Give everyone give it a like and a love, and just drop us a comment, say hi. And that just prompts the algorithm and shows everyone where we are if other people are trying to find the live as well. So, by the way, if we haven't met before, if you're new to my group or you're new to my YouTube channel when this goes up on YouTube, I'm Karen. I'm the Plant Power Coach, and I am the creator of the Transform with Plants coaching program. I help people lose weight on a plant-based diet, not only by changing what is on their plate, but also rewiring the mindset and the habits that are keeping them stuck. So today I'm going to show you how to silence that voice, or how to tone it down at least. So we're going to talk about why the inner critic shows up in the first place and why it's actually a sign that you are growing. What happens if you keep listening to it versus what's possible when you learn how to silence it, and 5 practical tools that you can start using today to start shutting it down. So these are the same tools that I've taught myself and my clients. And when you learn how to master this, you are never going to let that voice win again. So if you're ready to stop letting that voice run the show, settle in, get yourself a cup of tea or something, or a bottle of water. Let's dive in. So first of all, let me just ask you something. What if I told you that negative voice in your head, that one that is saying things like, you'll never get there, you can't do this, you're useless, you're a failure, you're hopeless, you can't stick to anything, you never succeed at anything. What if I told you that actually, it isn't you, it's not the truth, and it's just a voice. It's a voice we all have. So most people don't realize this. But the research shows us that about 70 to 80% of our daily thoughts are exactly the same ones that we have every single day. Yesterday, the day before, and for the last, 40, 50, 60 years. And the kicker here, though, is that the majority of the thoughts that we think are often negative. So that little voice that's saying you're not good enough, it's not new, it's not a special voice, and it's definitely not unique to you. It's just that same old tape that's been replayed over and over and over, and it's just kind of like recycled junk. And it's probably something that you heard somebody say to you when you were a child, and you are just replaying that junk over and over and over without even knowing it. But here's the kicker, right? because we hear this voice so often, because we keep saying this over and over and over to ourselves, we actually start to believe that it is real. And we mistake that repetition for the truth. So think about it. If you heard someone outside of your window yelling at you every single day, you'd eventually start believing something must be wrong with you, right? If you heard your parents saying things like, or if you heard them saying things and you made it mean that you weren't good enough, or that you were a failure, or that you couldn't succeed, you're just taking on their words and making them true. And then you're telling yourself over and over and over and over until you believe it. But just because that voice is loud and repetitive, it doesn't mean it's right. It's just a voice. It's just thought. Thought is not necessarily true. It's just like a mental echo that's going, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And it only has the power that you give it, that you choose to keep giving it. You can only believe in that thought if you choose to. Now, let's just look at why this voice exists, because it's not there because you are broken or lazy or weak, or that you can't do something, or that you are a failure. It's not there showing you evidence of what is real. It's actually there because your brain is doing its job. The inner critic part of us, that voice that comes up, it's part of our survival system. So back in our, cavewoman days, early days of human evolution, our brains were wired to keep us safe from danger, because danger was everywhere. We had to keep ourselves safe from predators. So our brain had to be on really high alert, right? So that part of that brain that is always on high alert for danger is called our amygdala. Think of it like an overprotective guard dog. And its job is to scan for the threats in our environment. And the easiest way it knows how to keep you safe is by stopping you from doing anything that is new, anything that is different, everything that is uncomfortable. So when you are setting a goal for yourself and trying to stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone, something like losing weight, changing your eating habits, getting healthier, starting an exercise routine, or getting fitter, training for a marathon. What are some other goals? Starting a business. I can tell you how much that inner critic comes up when you start a business, right? Any goal that stretches you to learn something new and stretches you beyond your comfort zone, it sets off that amygdala, danger, 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 danger. And that brain starts to go, oh no, this feels risky. Oh, what if you fail? Oh, what if people judge you? What are people going to say if you fail? What are people going to say if you change? And then that inner critic also pipes up with these familiar lines of like, yeah, but remember last time you tried something new and you failed? You're not disciplined enough. You can't do this. Why even bother? And it's not because this is the truth. It's because your brain thinks that if it scares you enough, you'll go running straight back to your comfort zone where you'll be safe. So I want you to understand this. That voice does not mean that you're incapable of success. It means that you're stepping beyond the cave. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone. You are growing. You're stretching yourself, and your brain is just feeling a little unsafe. That critic gets loudest when you are stretching into something new. Honestly, I think this is a beautiful thing for us to realize, to be honest. Because if we want to keep growing and we want to keep having a bigger life, it means that we need to keep stretching our brain and doing new things, putting ourselves in the face of failure, putting ourselves in the face of rejection over and over and over. And we must learn to face this and move through it if we're to have success. But this voice is why so many women tell me that it is something that comes up for them as soon as they are looking to, try and achieve their weight loss goals. They keep getting this voice that says, oh no, you can't do that. Oh no, that's going to be too hard. Or you never succeed. Look at that time. Look at all those times in the past when you've lost the weight and you've never been able to keep it off. What's the point trying again? You're just going to fail again. You're going to put yourself through all of that work and it's not going to work. You're still going to end up putting the weight back on again. Or look at you. You've never been consistent in the past. What makes you think you can do it this time? So this voice is not the proof that you are going to fail again. It's not the proof that what happened in the past is simply going to repeat because that's who you are. It's just proof that you are trying to stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone. You're actually on the edge of transformation. We've got to learn to not listen to this voice, because here's the reality. If you keep listening to that voice and retreating back to your comfort zone, you are going to stay stuck. You're going to quit on yourself before you've ever seen results. I know quitting can feel like relief, but it's relief in the moment, and you have to stay in the pain that you're in around your health results, around your current weight results, right? And if we keep quitting on ourselves, we go back to our old habits, not because we can't move forwards, and we can't make that change, and we can't get the results. It's because we keep believing in that voice that says we can't. And the problem here is that every time we retreat, every time we listen to that voice, what we're doing is we're reinforcing that voice. We're reinforcing the story that it's telling ourselves, the belief that we're holding on to. And it says, see, I told you can't stick to anything. See, I told you you're going to fail. See, this is just who you are. And then that voice gets louder and stronger and louder and stronger. So the critic speaks, you believe it, you act on it, it proves the critic belief. The result you produce from that proves the critic correct. And then the critic goes, yeah, see, I told you, and it gets louder. That neural connection in your brain gets stronger. But imagine the other side for a moment. And when you learn how to either silence that voice or lower the volume or start taking action despite that voice being there, you actually get to keep going even when it feels uncomfortable, and you stop quitting on yourself. You prove to yourself one small step, one small win at a time, that critic is wrong, that you are stronger than that critic. And the more you prove it wrong, the more you start to believe in yourself. Suddenly, you're not just trying to believe you can. Suddenly, you're actually building the evidence that you can. And that's when you build consistency as well. You start to realize that voice doesn't mean a damn thing. It's just been lying to you for years. And you start to be able to go, yeah, whatever, dude. And you move forward anyway. You stop starting every Monday. And that's when transformation becomes inevitable. Because the truth is that success doesn't come from never hearing that critic or never having that voice in your head. It comes from realizing that it's not you and refusing to let it run your life and telling yourself a different story every time it pops up. So stick with me here. I see we've got some comments. Hey, hi, Graham. Hey, Layla. Beautiful. Hey, Jenny. Great to see you here. So today, let's get into these 5 ways that you can learn to silence that inner critic. We're going to go through name it, don't shame it. We're going to prove it wrong with some evidence. We're going to rehearse your future self. We're going to flip the script, and then we're going to start taking micro action. So let's get into this. I'm going to have a, still this talking's making me thirsty. Okay, name it. Number one, name it. Don't shame it. So, as I said before, that voice in your head, the one that is tearing you down, telling you that you're useless, telling you that you're not consistent, telling you that you can't do this, telling you that you're a failure, remember, it's not you. It's not your identity. It's not who you are. It's not the truth. They're just words. Think of it like a character in your head. And I know that might sound a little weird. Oh, I've got multiple personalities going on in here. Well, actually, yeah, let's just treat it like that, like multiple personality disorder. Let's just pretend like that's what we have. Stay with me on this. So if you've ever watched a movie where a character just keeps repeating the same negative bullshit over and over and over, like you eventually stop taking them seriously, right? And you also know that it's just a role that's being played. And I want you to think about your inner critic this way. It's just a role, it's a character, and it's not you. So psychologists have a term for this, and it's called externalizing. And what that means is you take that negative negative voice, that negative thought out of your identity, and you treat it as though it's something separate. Because when you keep it internal, when you keep thinking that it is you saying that to yourself, when you keep thinking and believing I'm useless, I'm a failure, it feels so personal. It feels so heavy, like it must be true. And believe me, I've had so many clients who have battled with this internal voice, still have clients who are battling with that internal voice. So if you're with me on this call, I hope you're taking notice, and I'm going to be forwarding this to all of my clients that are still battling with this so that they can really take this in. But here's the thing, like the second that you externalize that voice and almost give it a separate identity, you're taking away its power. And you realize that this isn't me, it's just a voice, it's just words that are floating through this brain, this mind of mine. And look, you know, the likelihood is that it is somebody else's voice. Or, like a critical parent, for example, if you had a parent who used to criticize you a lot, you might be taking on their voice. If you had somebody bully you as a child, you might be taking on their voice. If you had a teacher when you were a young child who didn't treat you very well, you might be taking on their voice, all right? So oftentimes this inner critic is not even ourselves, it's just how we've been taught or conditioned to think or treat ourselves. So what we're going to do is give it a separate identity. And that shift in perspective can just create some space for you to choose a different response to it. So here's why this matters. If you keep thinking that voice is you, you are going to believe every single word it says. And when you believe it, then you start acting on it. You start giving up on yourself. You repeat those old patterns. You shrink your goals down to something that feels safe, and you never really achieve the big things that you want to in life. But when you separate out that voice, when you just start to think of it as just noise, just words, just sentences in your brain, then suddenly you've got some power back. You don't have to fight the voice. You don't have to try and make it go away. You can laugh at it if you want. And the more you laugh at it, the weaker it gets. This is what I do to myself. I will just say, yeah, thanks for that feedback. Yeah, you can go away now. This is what I encourage my clients to do. But here's something that you can do. First of all, you can give it a name, like a funny name, a silly name or something like that. Something that makes you smile instead of, collapse. I call mine sometimes I just call it Sawyer. Whatever, Sawyer. Or sometimes I'll just call it silly Sawyer. Now, I don't want to call it stupid Sawyer because I don't want to attach the name stupid to myself. And I know that I'm separating out that name, but I want to call it something silly. And I don't mind calling it Sawyer because Sawyer is not my birth name. That's my ex-husband's name, and I just never got around to changing my name. Now it's just too hard. Like I've got too many email addresses in all sorts of places to warrant trying to change it in this digital age. So Sawyer is not my name. I'm okay attaching Sawyer to this this identity. But you know, give your inner critic a silly name that you know that you can identify with, but not personally, you know, that you can call it. So maybe it's something like Negative Nelly or Naggy Nancy or Doomsday Debbie or Judgy Judy or I don't know, Moaning Margaret. I know you're watching this, Margaret. What sort of alliteration type name can you give your character? I once had a client call hers Moaning Mon. I think it was called Moaning Mon. So yeah, like come up with a silly name. And the sillier the better, because the humor also disarms that critic. And the next time that voice pops up, you can say, yeah, thanks, Negative Nancy, but I've got this. You don't have to argue with it. Or I sometimes say, like, thanks, you in the cheap seats. Oi, you back there in the cheap seats, you can just shut up now. Like somehow I'm a comedian and I'm performing at my show and I'm telling those in the cheap seats who keep piping up and trying to heckle me, they can just shut up. So you don't have to argue with the voice. You don't have to wrestle with it. In fact, I don't want you to, because the more you fight it, the louder it's going to get. You just recognize it, name it, like, you know, call it a silly name like a comedian would and just move on, right? All right. I once had a client who gave her critic a funny name and she said, oh my God, Karen, the second that I named it, I just couldn't take it seriously anymore. And every time it spoke up, you know, it would say, you know, you're not doing good enough, you know, you're going to fail again. She would literally just say, yeah, thanks, but we're not doing this today. And she'd like imagine turning a dial down on her stereo. She'd be like, you know, you can just shut up today and I'm going to turn up the voice that I want to hear. And it was so good. She had such great success in her weight loss journey. She just found that such a powerful tool to imagine that it's not her. And it's just like, you know, I've got the power to turn you down and I'm going to turn up the voice, me that I want to listen to. I'm going to turn her up. Okay, so here is the takeaway here. Name it. When you name it, you tame it. You are not your critic. You are just the one hearing the voice. You are not the voice. You are the one hearing it. So when you remember that, that critic is going to lose its grip and you start to get back control. Remember, you are the one hearing the voice. You are not the voice. Name it, turn it down, and move on. Okay, number 2 is we're going to prove it wrong with evidence. I want you to think about your inner critic as a terrible lawyer, right? A lawyer who's trying to argue a case with confidence and zero evidence. I kind of liken this to carnivores trying to argue that plants are killing us and that we're all carnivores with these great big canines and, you know, scary claws and things. Yeah. Anyway, just so if we think about it, like your terrible lawyer, your inner critic is trying to say you will always fail, you can't stick to anything, you're hopeless. But is that really true? Or is it just throwing around dramatic accusations without anything to back them up? So put it this way, if a lawyer was to stand in court and say, Your Honor, she has failed at everything. She is hopeless. She will never succeed at anything. And if they had zero evidence to back that up, they're going to get laughed out of the courtroom, right? So why are we letting that inner critic run wild in our heads without questioning it? But here's the science behind it. So Our brains have what is called a negative bias. And that means we're wired to remember the one time that we messed up instead of the 10 times that we've done well. Again, this is a survival mechanism. So if you remember the pain, you'll avoid the danger next time, and you will stay safe and you will stay alive. But in this modern life, thinking this way doesn't keep us safe. It keeps us small. So your inner critic is basically using that brain's negative bias to spin stories. And it's going to cherry pick your failures and completely ignore your wins. Now, here's why this matters. If you never challenge that voice, if you just keep taking it at face value, you are going to stay stuck. And you'll keep believing that you are somebody who always fails. And then you'll act in ways that make that true. But the moment that you start bringing some actual real fact and evidence to the table, well, that's when everything changes. You begin to see that, oh, I've had way more wins than I thought I did, right? And when you stack up those wins, well, then your inner critic has just got to back down. They haven't got a leg to stand on. They're thrown out of court, right? And that's how you start to build belief in yourself, and you start to build that trust in yourself as well. So here's the tool. Start keeping a wins list. Write it all down on your phone. Keep a note in your phone. I encourage all my clients to keep a what's been going well note in their phone, particularly as all of them love to come to every single call and talk about the massive failure that they've had or the struggle that they've had that has been like this much of their week, yet has felt like this much of their week. I like to turn their mind around and go, yeah, tell me about what's been going well first. Tell me about your wins first. What have you been doing well first? It's so hard for them to access, right? And if that's with coaching with me, imagine what it's like for you trying to do this on your own, right? How hard that is to access when you don't have someone who's constantly saying, no, let's look at where the good things are, where you are succeeding. Like people will come and tell me that they've had the worst week and yet they've lost at least a pound, right? They're so focused on the negative that they haven't seen the opposite evidence in front of them. Dear Margaret, I'm hoping she won't mind me saying this. She came to a call and the scale went up 1 pound. This is in our first 4 weeks of working together. The scale went up 1 pound during that week. And she was freaking out. She came to our call. It's like, I'm failing. You know, the scale's just gone up 1 pound. And I said, Margaret, stand back and look at your tracker. You're actually 10 pounds down in 4 weeks. I'd call that not just a win. I'd call that a massive win. You are succeeding. All right, so we have, our brain wants to blow these negative, the things that are not going well. It wants to blow the negative bias out of all proportion. So I want you to keep a wins list of things that are going well. And as they happen, I want you to write them down. Every single little success, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant you think it is, write it down. You know, it could be something like, you know, you went for a walk instead of raiding the pantry. Like you felt like you needed to have a binge, but you went upstairs and you calmed yourself down. You recognized you were tired and you went for a lie down. It could be, you know, you prepped yourself a healthy meal when you had that overwhelming desire to go out to eat or call Uber Eats. Write it down. You caught yourself in mid-negative thought and you shifted it. Oh my God, write that down, right? That's a massive win. Over time, this list is going to become your file of evidence. And when your inner critic props up and says, yeah, but you always fail, nothing ever goes right, you can literally look at that list and go, yeah, but what? I've had 27 wins. And that's how you dismantle that critic, not with arguments, but with facts, not with emotions. And I feel like, but with fact. The critic cannot argue back when there is fact. It argues back when there is drama, but we want to win with fact, data. I had a client once who was facing a lot of challenges in the first few weeks of us working together, from being held up at gunpoint in a jewelry store while she was in there, to her dog almost dying on her, and needing severe and very fast, urgent vet care. She had all sorts of things happening in her personal life that her brain was telling her, oh my God, my whole world's falling apart. And she found this exercise of keeping this what's going well list super helpful during this time, because it meant her brain wasn't always focused on the negative and what was going wrong and where she was failing. She was actually showing herself all of the little things that were going well for her. Things like when we were held up at gunpoint in the jewelry store, I remembered to breathe, and I didn't react, and I came out, and I just came out, and I breathed myself back to feeling a state of calm. I was scared, but I'm not letting it rock me because I know I have control of my breath. All sorts of little things like that, right? When you keep this list, it's going to shift things for you. All right, so here's the truth. Facts beat feelings every time. Your feelings are a guidance tool, yes, but they're not always right, and neither are your thoughts. Your thoughts aren't necessarily true. Your inner critic runs on exaggeration and drama, black and white thinking, but when you prove it wrong with evidence, it can't hold up. And every win that you collect is just another proof of evidence that, the critic is lying. And it's just another reason for you to keep going, to keep moving forwards, to keep creating success for yourself and stack up more and more wins. Okay, number 3, rehearsing your future self. Graham, I'm just seeing your comment here. Hey, Mary, thanks for watching. Graham, I think of it like a tennis match in my head. Yeah, that helps sometimes. Serve aces at the side, saying you can't do it until it's quiet. It's still a battle some days. Yeah, absolutely. You know what, Graham? That's because you're stretching yourself. As I said at the beginning, I'm not sure if you were here that for that part in the beginning, but it's because you're stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone, right? This is going to crop up. It's not like that voice is ever actually going to go away. As long as you continue to work on goals, that voice will be there. That's the irony. This is why we must learn how to deal with it and move through it, instead of just waiting for it to go away or waiting for it to say something different so that we can move forwards. No. It's expected to be there. It's going to always. I can tell you, as I'm studying medical intuition, there's that part of my voice that goes, oh my God, this is so big. You're never going to remember all of this stuff. You're never going to be able to do what Emma can do, who's my practitioner tutor. You're never going to be able to do what she does. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going through it as well myself. As I started my business, who am I? Nobody knows who I am. I'm not known in this health coaching space. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Nobody's going to, come and work with you. And yet now I've worked with hundreds of people. So that voice is always going to be there as you stretch yourself. It does not mean that it's true. It just means that you're stretching yourself. Okay, let's move on to point number 3, which is that rehearsing the future you. So here's something that you probably are not aware of, and something I say to my clients all the time. In fact, we've just had a week. Last week, I spent a lot of time with a lot of my clients reviewing this particular module in our course, in our portal, because I want to remind everybody that this practice is powerful. And here's something that you probably don't know, in that your brain doesn't know the difference between something that you imagine vividly and something that you actually experience in real life. And what that means is that when you rehearse being that future version of you, in your mind, like when you picture yourself as the person who follows through, as the person who feels confident, as the healthy person, as the person who's fit or active or loves eating whole plants, who loves honoring their body, right? Who eats in alignment, not just with their goals, not because they have the goal, but because that's who they are, right? When you rehearse yourself in your mind, when you picture yourself being that version of you, your brain starts to wire itself as if that's who you are already, as if that's actually happening in real time. So think of it like this way. You can literally trick your brain into believing that that version of you is who you are already. That you are future self. The problem is that most people don't allow themselves to dream. They don't allow themselves to dream big enough. They sit there going, well, I don't know what that would be like. No, of course you don't, because you haven't been there. But this is where you've got to get your imagination involved, right? Stop thinking about, oh, what would it be like to be at my goal, and go, oh, if I could create anything I wanted, what do I want? And create from that space. And science actually backs this up. This is a practice called mental rehearsal, right? This is something I do with my clients a lot. And athletes have been using this mental rehearsal practice for like decades. They will actually rehearse themselves in the race, in the game, on the field, doing the actual, playing the game, playing the shot, whatever it might be. And they can improve their performance by, it was 30, I think it was like 35%, 34%, it was 30 something percent, which is insane. And studies have shown that, basketball players who visualize practicing throws, never touching a ball, improved almost as much as players who physically practice with a ball. And why is that? It's because the same neural pathways actually light up in the brain during that visualization as when they're practicing in real life. So when you imagine your future self, the one who is already living in your healthiest body, showing up consistently, eating delicious whole plant foods, saying no to the things that don't serve them effortlessly, right? Without feeling deprived or restricted in any way, when they associate a lot of pleasure with doing the things that lead to the healthy weight results, the health, overall health and weight results, when they associate pleasure with it and they're doing it consistently, you're wiring those pathways in your brain right now. How insane is that? And that is one of the fastest ways to quiet that inner critic, because it just sees that that's who you are. Your brain now feels comfortable being that person. It no longer feels triggered or scared to be that person. It sees that you are that person. And so it got nothing to argue. It's no longer feeling unsafe. But here's the deal, right? If you don't rehearse your future self, that critic, that inner critic, is just going to keep popping up. It'll say things like, oh, you're missing out. You're missing out when if someone brings donuts into the office and you can't have one, oh, guess what? You're deprived and you're missing out. Or it's going to say, yeah, you always mess up when you are at that dinner party. Or you're going to binge again. You can't succeed because you always overeat. You are always going to give up, like always. And it's because you've got no mental blueprint for success. All you've got is a mental blueprint for you failing. That's all you're programming your mind to see, is failure after time, after time, after time. And so you start to believe in that voice that says, oh, yeah, but you always fail. You always make the wrong decision. You always binge. You always choose the donut. But when you rehearse that future self, you can imagine walking into that dinner party and, like, making the healthy choice effortlessly. You already know what choices you are making. And because you've rehearsed it in your head time and time again. You know that you're going to make the healthy choice when you go out to dinner. You know that when the donuts come into the office, you look at them and go, oh, I feel sorry for everyone who wants to put that junk in their body, because you've rehearsed it in your head first. You know that you can do that because you've practiced. And when your critic whispers, you can't do it, your brain's already rehearsed. Yeah, I can. I just did. And didn't you see that? I've done it time and time again, even if it's only in your brain. So how do we do this? How do we mentally rehearse? So first of all, you want to close your eyes. So shut out the outside world. That's the first thing, right? You've got to be able to bring your focus inwards to your inner state and let go of all of the evidence around you, right? If you look in the mirror, whatever it might be, you're looking at your surroundings, everything around you is reminding you of who you are right now. So in order to imagine something different, you have to go within. You have to go within and start imagining something different. So you block out your visual. You close your eyes and you start imagining future you. And if you are struggling, like you're going, oh, but I don't know what she'll look like, decide, right? All you have to do is, what do I want her to look like? What do I want? Not what, trying to predict the future. Start creating it. Start deciding. What is she wearing? How is she moving? Sorry, Graham. He, she. What choice is that version of you making? How does that version of you talk to themselves, right? What do they say to themselves? Get as detailed as you can. And I want you to then imagine something quite specific, whether it's a specific challenge that you're having. So whether that is, seeing yourself going out to dinner with friends and effortlessly, with joy, choosing the healthy option, or whether that is effortlessly, with joy, saying no to the glass of wine, right? We want to attach positive emotion to the thing that we're choosing consciously. You might want to see yourself confidently walking into that gym and knowing exactly what to do, right? Feeling the power in your body as you walk into that gym, feeling strong. Remember, this is not you right now. This is you in the future who knows exactly what to do when they're in the gym. Maybe you want to just see yourself effortlessly saying no to the things that don't serve you and effortlessly saying yes to the things that do. But make this very, very specific and attach positive emotion with it. Pair it with a simple affirmation, identity affirmation. I am the kind of person who. I am the kind of person who finishes what she starts. I am the kind of person who sets a goal and achieves it. I am a badass. I am the kind of person who chooses to nourish their body with whole plants. I am somebody who succeeds, no matter how big. Yeah, right. You're attaching your identity, a positive statement about your identity, to this visual. And if you do this daily, even just 2 minutes, 2 minutes is enough just to get you started. You're actually now starting to lay down these new neural tracks for success. As I said last week, I spent a lot of time with all my clients in group sessions and one-on-one sessions reviewing this module that is in my program. And what I did is I actually created a brand new version, like recorded mental rehearsal, so that it's a guided mental rehearsal for them to listen to. But if you'd like a copy of this, like just DM me or stay till the end and I'll talk to you more about it, and I'll drop you the links. That's my free giveaway for you today. So this is where you can just sit down, close your eyes off to the world, put in your headphones, and you can just let my voice guide you through becoming this person. It's really powerful. And this is something I started doing in my business when I started my business. And I would often imagine myself speaking confidently to people. I remember when I did my first Facebook Live, I was terrified. I was shaking so much. And I rehearsed it over and over and over, trying to calm down my nervous system so that I would look more comfortable. And I was probably terrible. I hate to go back and look at that first Facebook Live. But I would rehearse. I would rehearse in my mind. I would rehearse in my mind being confident speaking to people about what I'm doing. I would rehearse also going to, these international health conferences and meeting the plant-based experts, Dr. Greger, Dr. Barnard, so many of them who I have now met. I wasn't yet a coach. I was in the very early stages of setting up my business and getting going. And I was such a beginner. And I had to step out of seeing myself as a beginner and really had to start seeing myself as an expert in this space, as being successful, as being well-known plant-based coach. And I had to start leaning into that identity in my mind first. And that is what helped me more confidently step into being that version. It just accelerated my success. And as we do that, the "that's not you" voice, the "who do you think you are" voice, that starts to fade away. And it started fading away for me too. All right, so the truth is that you don't become your future self by accident. You can rehearse that version of you into existence first. The inner critic is always going to try and feed you worst case scenario in order to keep you safe and small. But when your mind has seen yourself succeed already, then that inner critic, so remember it's being set off by that amygdala that says, oh, something's different, danger, 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 right? That amygdala is no longer going off because it sees, oh, this is the comfort zone. This is the comfort zone. There is no danger here. And so what you want to do is decide who you want to be. And you want to replay that movie in your head over and over. You want to be that version of you in your head over and over and over. And the more that you rehearse, the version of you that you rehearse the most, whether you're rehearsing the script that says you're a failure, you rehearse that version of you that says you're a failure, you can't do this, you can rehearse that one over and over, and that will become your truth. Or you can rehearse the one that goes, I am healthy. I live at a healthy weight. I'm a badass. I can do anything I want. I am such a success, right? And whichever voice you choose, whichever image you choose to keep replaying to yourself is the one you are going to create in future. All righty, so let's move on. Point number 4, or tip number 4. We're going to flip the script. Have you ever noticed also how your inner critic speaks in absolutes, like you always fail, you can't stick to anything, this will never work for you, you never do anything right, and nothing ever goes right for you, right? There's big dramatic, black or white words like always, never, can't, right? They're dramatic, they're final, they leave zero room for possibility. But as I've said time and time again, like, the truth is that those words are not reality. They're just words. And the powerful thing is that we can actually flip that script. We are in control of the words. So you are listening. You're the one who's witnessing the words, right? If you hear words that you don't like, that don't align, that do not support you, you get the chance, you have the power to change them. You can flip the script. And here's why this works. Your brain listens to the words you use and starts to build your beliefs around them. This is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy. I really struggle with saying that. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. You've probably heard of it, right? This is about changing your language. When you change your language, you change your thoughts. If you keep saying to yourself, I can't lose weight, I can't be consistent, I can't do this, this is hard for me, right? Your brain takes that as a fact and it filters all of your actions through that belief. But if you start saying, oh, I'm learning how to stay consistent, I'm learning how to lose the weight, I'm losing weight bit by bit, your brain starts to open a door and it starts to look for solutions instead of shutting solutions down. And the words you use literally train your brain to either shut down or go and seek possibility. Again, this is something I've been talking about with my clients over the last couple of weeks, like how those words that we use actually really train our brain and filter in what we see and keep other truths out, to, you know, impact our emotional states, impact our actions, impact our results. The reality here is if you keep repeating the inner critic, you're going to stay locked in that same story. I can't is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. You're going to keep showing yourself time and time again that you can't, because as soon as you tell yourself, oh, I can't, you don't even try. All right. So, of course, the result of that is going to be that you won't, you don't. But when you flip the script on that, everything changes. When you just change the words that you say, you shift out of hopelessness and you shift into possibility. You shift from I can't and finality into, oh, I can, and growth. And that shift in language is the difference between quitting on yourself over and over and over again and keeping going. It's a difference between giving up and giving yourself a chance. So here's how you flip the script. Next time that critic says something, you know, negative to you, just add a word at the end, which is like, yet. Like, that's just a simple one. I can't stay consistent yet. Just kind of diffuses it. I can't stop emotional eating yet. I can't succeed yet. It just like stops it being so definite and just says, like, almost like there's a but at the end. There's something more coming to this. Or add things like, I'm learning how. I'm learning how to stay consistent. I'm learning how to stop emotional eating. I'm learning how to manage cravings. I'm learning how to rebound quicker from mistakes. I'm learning how to become different, being, you know, I'm learning how to become comfortable being different to everybody else, whatever it might be. I'm learning how to stop failing. I'm learning how to stop starting again every Monday. I'm learning how to be kinder to myself. I'm learning how to stop listening to this inner critic. Or you could ask yourself a more powerful question, like, why can't I do this? Well, what if I could actually follow through this time? What if I could stop emotional eating? What if I could say no to cravings? What if I could effortlessly say no to a donut? What if I could joyfully say no to a glass of wine? What if I could effortlessly set a boundary with other people in my life, work, timetables even, right? These sorts of little shifts take the sting out of that inner critic and give your brain a new path to follow. I have a client who constantly tells herself over and over, I'm never going to lose this weight. I just can't do it. There's something wrong with me. And every time she says it, I can just see her shoulders slump. I can see the joy drain out of her face. It's like she's defeated before she even starts. So we're always working on flipping that script, right? Instead of like, I can't do this, there's something wrong with me. It's like, oh, I'm learning new skills. I'm learning how to stop paying attention to that voice. I'm learning how to stay consistent, right? And the honest truth is that she's 17 pounds down. Like, she's on the board. She can do it. She still has a way to go to get to our ultimate goal, but she is doing it. So every time that voice comes up, she's got to go back and show herself that truth. Oh, remember the lawyer? Got to show herself the fact I'm 17 pounds down. Shut up back there and start flipping that script. I'm learning how to do this. I'm learning how to be uncomfortable. I'm learning how to be uncomfortable and still keep moving forwards. I'm learning how to not let this voice stop me. I'm learning how to hear that voice and not take it on as my own. Little by little, she's starting to believe. She's starting to change. And she's being more consistent as well. So learning these new skills is really starting to really have a significant impact on her results. So in summary of number 4, your words are powerful and they will lead to results. So when you keep repeating that critic's script, you reinforce your lies. You reinforce the lies that it's telling you because you take action on those words. And the result of your action proves those lies true. But when you start to flip that script around and explore the possibilities instead of the restrictions, when you start to say to yourself, could I lose this? Could this time be different? Or ask yourself a different question, or add some more sentences to the I can't, to keep that door open. What you're now doing is seeing possibility. You're opening that door for growth. You're opening that door for different action. You are allowing your brain to see that there might be solutions to problems. And you start to be able to take different action and to change. So that inner critic only has the lines that you keep feeding it. So start changing those lines and that voice will change as well. And you'll start to be able to take different action and get different results and prove that inner critic proves something else to it. Okay, number 5 is taking micro action. I hope you guys are writing this all down and taking lots and lots of notes. Thank you for joining. So here is something that your inner critic absolutely hates, and that is taking action that doesn't align with what it is saying, right? It thrives on you overthinking. It thrives on you hesitating. It thrives on keeping you stuck in your head and going around and around and around with the same doubts and fears, proving its lies true. Why? Because it keeps you comfortable in your comfort zone. Remember, that's its role, to keep you safe. Don't change, for goodness sake. It's dangerous out there. But the second you start taking action, even the tiniest step, like imagine that you're in a cave, right? And the second you start to move towards that door, the edge of the cave, the inner critic's going, it's dangerous out there. You better not go out there. There's lions and tigers out there. Don't go. You're going to get bitten. You're going to die. This is your inner critic saying you can't, right? You're going to fail. Don't do this. Imagine that inner critic is just getting scared because you're edging closer to the door of the cave, right? So how we silence this is you put your first step out there and go, oh, looky out there. It's sunny. Oh, it's warm. Oh, this is kind of nice. And then you take another step out there. Oh, actually there's flowers and there's trees and there's, oh my goodness. And you start to feel that pleasure when you've taken the action, when you've taken that step, even the tiniest step, right? That critic starts to lose its power. All of the stuff that it's been telling you about the danger that lies outside of that cave is not there. It's like, oh, this is actually nice stuff out here, right? There's a sunshine and rainbows and flowers and bunny rabbits and like butterflies and oh my goodness, it's actually really nice out here. And the inner critic has nothing to argue with then. It's losing its power because the action is proof. The action is the evidence, right? You've stepped outside that comfort zone and it's not dark and dangerous and filled with hyenas that are going to rip your head off. It's pleasant. It's enjoyable. And here's why it works. So when you complete even a small task, your brain starts to release dopamine, which is that feel-good reward chemical that we get. And that hit of dopamine then gives you that motivation to keep taking the next step. So action doesn't just silence the critic, it actually starts to help you create momentum. And on the opposite side of that, procrastination does the opposite, right? Procrastination obviously stops you from making momentum. So the longer you wait, the louder that critic is going to get. And that's why the fastest way to quiet that critic is to act. It's just to say, okay, let's just do it. Feel that, like that book says, feel the fear and do it anyway. Even when you don't feel ready, even when you're scared, and even if you're doubting yourself, okay, that voice says it's dark and miserable and rainy and stormy and there are hyenas everywhere and it's just death and destruction out there. I'm just going to go out and have a look for myself. Oh, actually, it's sunshine and rainbows and green grass and butterflies and bunnies. And oh my God, it's beautiful. What was he talking about? Idiot. Yeah. So action is where you get that dopamine. Action in the direction of your goals is what creates momentum. But if you wait for that critic to go quiet before you act, oh my God, you're going to be waiting forever, right? That's what most of us are trying to do. We want that voice to shut up so that we can feel safe about taking action. No, it's never going to happen. You're not taking action. The more you don't take action, the louder that voice and the stronger that voice is going to get. But if you take action while the critic is actually screaming at you, something absolutely magical happens, right? You are proving it wrong in real time. That's when you start to build the self-trust. That's when you start saying things like, oh, wow, I can do this. That voice, it was wrong. It was wrong. I can do this. Look at me. I'm doing it. The critic only has power if you never test it, if you never try and prove it wrong. So the moment you act, you are showing yourself that the critic is wrong. So what you want to do here is commit to taking micro action, small action, not like giant leaps that feel overwhelming. This is where most people go wrong. Like they want to try and change everything all at once. No, 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 no. Your brain's really going to pipe up then and stop you. You want to take small action. You want to commit to one small step at a time. Steps that are so small that the critic is not scared about you taking them. The critic says, like, oh, that's okay. Oh, you're taking a baby step. It'll probably say to you, that's not good enough, right? It'll turn around on you that way. That's not good enough. But it's going to be so small that it's not going to say you can't do that. So maybe instead of overhauling your whole diet all at once, just commit to like one meal, prep one healthy meal, or just commit to half that plate being whole vegetables, like vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, right? That will have a significant impact without you needing to change anything else. Instead of aiming to walk 10,000 steps a day when you're walking 2,000 steps a day, right? Or you're not doing any specific walking, like just commit to a 5-minute walk. Make it something that is so stupidly small that you can't fail. And it's so stupidly small that you don't have any resistance to doing it. Also, maybe instead of promising you'll never overeat again, just practice stopping at enough this one meal that you're eating right now, right? Just practice it one meal at a time. Or instead of saying you're never going to have a donut ever again. Just say, can I say no today? Yeah. Can I say no today? Or I can have a donut, but I'm not going to do it when I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm trying to suppress an emotion. Or I'm not going to do it just because everybody else is. I'm going to intentionally choose my moment in the future. And if I feel like having it then I'll have my donut, right? So you're just taking it one small step at a time. These micro actions are like little building bricks. And you want to keep a record of those in your what's going well list as well. Don't forget that. And one by one, they start to build that wall of evidence that you are capable of change. You are capable of building consistency. That's all you're looking for here. So I had a client once who was so overwhelmed, who was with everything that she needed to change to get to her weight loss goal, because her weight loss goal is significant, could take a couple of years, right? And she also had massive health improvements that she needed to make. And she was also miserable in life, and she wanted to live a happy life. And when she sat back and looked at all the things that she needed to change, it was like, oh my God, so overwhelming, because she felt so far away from where she wanted to be. And her inner critic kept telling her, you can't do this. You know, you're going to fail. Look at all these other times when you've tried and hey, you haven't succeeded. Like, there is something wrong with you. You are broken. So we just chunked it down. We just started to say, let's just make it simple. We're just going to focus on this one thing right now. Right now, we're just going to focus on your food for now. And we're just going to focus on, let's make half of that plate that you're eating, vegetables. Just get half a plate of vegetables at each meal. Doesn't matter, whatever else happens. Let's just focus on that to start with. And she was kind of like rolling her eyes as if that was just too small. Like that's going to change my whole life. But you know what? It started to. She started to have big results as a result of that. And then she started to feel really proud. And now she's 17 pounds down. She felt physically better. She felt mentally better. She was starting to have more energy. And then from there, she wanted to start moving her body more, because she wants to have this amazing outdoorsy lifestyle, right? But right now she's not even walking. So then when she started to have more energy in her body, she decided to start walking on her treadmill after dinner every night. And this just starting with a 5-minute walk. And now she's moving it up. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, she's getting there. I also had one client who came to me after years and years and years of struggling for, I don't know, 30, 40 years of her life, struggling with weight. And she had been trying to lose weight her whole life. She'd just been following all the wrong advice, and she'd been trying to overhaul everything all at once. All we did, and I, looked at her habits as we, had our first session together, looked at what she was doing with various things. And yep, there was a lot that could change. There was a lot that we could start tweaking with and work with, which is great, because that means when there's a big amount of change that can happen, then she's going to have big results. But I started off with one very small thing. And I said, how much water are you drinking? And she said, oh, there's water in coffee, isn't there? Joke, joke, joke. And I said, I assume that means you're having a lot of coffee and not a lot of water. And that was the truth. 3 big coffees a day. And I don't think she was having any water. So I said, how about we just remove one of those coffees and let's replace it with a liter of water to start with. Ideally, you want to be drinking 2 to 3 liters, but let's just start you with a liter to start with. So we just started with water, and she was very like, at first, like, oh, I don't want to do this. It was so funny. But that was the very first thing we started. She was so dehydrated. Her knees were buckling. She had osteoarthritis in both knees, and her joints were struggling. They were so dehydrated. We need water for our joints. And so given one of her big reasons for wanting to lose the weight was so that she could have a knee replacement, so she could actually get an appointment with a surgeon to see about a knee appointment. He would not see her until she lost weight. And she was so frustrated. She was like, I've been trying my whole life. Like, what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to do this? I don't know. So that's where we got together and we worked together. But so she understood the importance. When I said water, she understood the importance. This is to cushion your joints as much as anything. Plus, if you're hydrated, you are not going to have so many cravings. You're going to also have better energy, which is something that she wanted. And so we just started there. And it was, even though it felt like such a small step, and she was like, yeah, that's not going to do anything. She lost 2 kilos in the first week. 2 kilos just by changing out the water. And the irony is that now she's drinking more water. She's probably holding more water too. She's more hydrated. So, you know, it had a massive impact for her. Just changing that water, her body was actually now starting to flush out stuff because she was hydrated. And so we continued with that. And now she's the type of person who has 1 coffee a day, and she carries a water bottle everywhere with her. She drinks 3 liters plus per day. And she's the annoying person everywhere she goes that tells people that they're not drinking enough water and they need to get hydrated. But she lost 80 pounds, 80 pounds. And that one little change to get her started was enough to create momentum and get her excited about taking the next small changes. So, in summary, for point number 5, taking micro action, we don't think our way into confidence. We act our way into it. So our inner critic is going to thrive on you staying frozen. But every time you take action, it's like you're turning down that volume. You're literally turning down that volume on that inner critic. It's going to get quieter, and your belief that other volume is going to get louder. Micro actions done consistently will actually create unstoppable momentum for you as well. And before you know it, you're halfway to your goal, and you've built a life and you've built these results that your inner critic was saying is impossible. All right, just always taking copious notes. Yeah, good on you, Margaret. That's awesome. Okay, so they are the 5 key points. Let's just do a bit of a summary. Your inner critic is normal. It's a normal voice. We all have it. It's not proof that you are broken or incapable. It's actually just your brain's way of trying to keep you safe when you are trying to stretch yourself and achieve new things. But here's the thing, safe doesn't create that transformation. We cannot create a new result from our comfort zone. We have to learn to be able to step beyond it. And if you want to become your healthiest and strongest self, you need to learn how to turn down that volume of the critic and keep moving through that voice. So now you've got these 5 powerful tools that you can lean on that help you do that. So 1 was name it, don't shame it. 2 is proving it wrong with evidence. 3 is rehearsing that future self before you become that version. 4 is flipping the script, right? Flipping the language that you're using, like flipping changing the language that you're using. And 5 is taking micro action. So every time you use these tools, you're actually building that muscle of self-belief, and your inner critic is actually getting weaker and weaker. With that particular goal, that is, it's never actually going to go away. As I said, in fact, you might need to learn to always live in a slight state of discomfort with it in the background there. It will get less and less and less. But the more you stretch yourself, you might find it pop up again. So just come back to these 5 tools. Now, if you want to take this even deeper, I have a special gift for you. So normally I only share this with my private clients. Hey, Annie, nice to see you. If you would like access to my pre-recorded mental rehearsal audios, this is the exact tool that I use with my clients to help them rewire or rehearse their future self ahead of time. Then just send me a DM on Messenger and I'll get that to you. Yes, it can be a very, very powerful tool to help you just visualize and imagine being that version of you before you are that version of you, attaching a lot of positive emotion with the action that you're taking and with the outcome that you're getting. And it will just help that fear-based brain and that inner critic to just settle down, because it now believes, they both believe that that's who you are. So DM me mental, or just let me know in the message that you want that mental rehearse, and I'll drop you the link. And just one more thing, in October, when I get back from Bali, I'm going to be running my next 5-day weight loss challenge, where I'll be showing you how to lose weight for good, without feeling like you are dieting, without extreme restriction, without constant sabotage. How do you stay consistent with the behaviors, the habits that are going to get you to the goal? What are the behaviors? What are the habits that will help you get to the goal? And how do you start changing? How do you keep consistent without the self-sabotage? So if you want to be the first to know when the registration's open, please message me again on Messenger, and I'll add your name to the wait list. Okay. All righty. So does anyone have any more questions, just very quickly, while I look back over the comments here? I'll just see. No, I haven't seen anybody else dropping a comment. All righty. So I know the comments take a little bit to come through in real time, and I know the streaming is a little bit delayed. So I'll come back to any comments that I see here. And if you're watching the replay, please, feel free to keep dropping comments, or just message me with a question that you might have, because sometimes the notifications don't pop up for me. All righty, so let's wrap that up today. Thanks, Graham. Awesome to have you. Remember, you are not your inner critic. It is just a voice, and you get to pay attention to the voice, and you get to change that voice if you wish to. And when you choose that voice of belief and possibility and start taking action, well, then your transformation starts to become inevitable. Okay, gonna wrap it up. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I will see you back here next week. Next week, I've got a fabulous interview with the vegan mindset coach. Going to be absolutely fabulous. She's going to talk all about how we can embrace being different, or being vegan, or being plant-based in a non-vegan world. So look forward to bringing that interview to you. All right. Ciao for now, team. Bye.